Hi everyone, welcome back to Christopher's Models and Dioramas. Well, it's all done. When I first started this series of videos from the start to finish perspective, I was going to show you ways to cut corners on your costs and still have something that turns out that looks really good, something you can be proud of. One of the ways I found to save money was to do something a little bit called kit bashing. Now, kit bashing is a term used by model builders where they take different parts of different models to create something of their own design. Now, there's also a diorama kit bashing. You use different types of different dioramas materials to combine it to get something that you want. Now, there's model railroading diorama kits that you can find online, and then there's also diorama kits that you can find. They're all basically the same and just vary from, slightly from one thing to the other. Some have molds for like building cliff faces for rocks and things like that. Some don't. But what I did was use model railroad techniques as far as terrain, the flocking, trees, with the diorama perspective of using the figures of the animals. And what I did was combine it in a way that could be done using vehicles, individuals, like people, military, non-military. And later on in the next series of videos, we'll be covering a water effect, which will be in about 2 weeks. But I wanted to point out that there's ways that you can save money. How I kit bash this is that, like I said, I used a flocking from model railroad scenes to make the trees. This is not a kit bash. This is right out of my backyard. It's a stick used for the trunk of the tree that I took and soaked in rubbing alcohol and craft glue to preserve it. This, tall bushes like this one, or these plants like this, from an aquarium set I found at a garage sale. No big deal. The tall grass is actually baling twine used to hold some hay together. You can find it at hobby stores. They sell it by the spools. It's easy to use, and the great thing is if you wanted this to be green tall grass, it wouldn't take much to change the color to fit your needs. This cake decoration top, plastic cake decoration top, made for like a jungle setting, inexpensive. Bought 10 of these palm trees, cut them down to what I needed to use for different kits, had some left over, so I pieced them together and put them here. Altogether, what would normally, if you were to go and dump money into buying, ordering these things individually, it would cost you anywhere between $50 to $100. Altogether, it's probably cost me about $30. The ground flocking, well, like I explained in the previous video, it's just seasonings that I bought there cheap and inexpensive. Added some railroad flocking to it. And, shook it up, mixed it up really good. And it's all held together with craft glue. The paint I used probably only cost maybe $1 or $2, maybe $1.50, maybe 50 cents at the most for some of it. And the great thing about it is you can thin it out with water and make it last longer and do a really good job. The skin tone for the elephant. Craft paint. Acrylic. Non-oil, water-based. Easy to clean up. In the next video, I'll show you. I'm going to deal with him. This is Allie, the alligator. Got him for, I think, $10. Not bad. Now, the water effect is what's going to cause this build to be somewhat different than what I have done previous in the elephant ones. The elephant one, I built everything around them. I'm still going to build everything around him, but when it comes to the water effect and the alligator here, I'm going to have to turn things a little inside out. Now I'm going to go ahead and paint him and clean him up and give him a more realistic look. When that's done, I'm going to build this up and give it a slight bank so that Allie will seem to be crawling up out of the water onto the bank, because see, he's got this gap here in his feet right here as he sits, like he's going to be crawling up. Now the water because his bank is going to be up, I'm going to fix it to where it kind of looks like he's a little bit half out of the water, a little bit out of the water, crawling through kind of shallow. The water effect is what's going to be the hard part, and it's going to take about 2 weeks to do. You can order stuff that will take less time, but it's more expensive, and, well, if you're trying to build on a budget, if you can find ways to cut back a little bit on, cut back on costs, do it. When you use this stuff that I'm about to show you, you're going to have to use a mask in a well-ventilated area. Kids should not use this stuff without adult supervision. You're going to want to use gloves too. You're going to have to use craft sticks to help spread it around. Now, when I wanted to first add a water effect to one of my builds, I was struggling, like anyone, trying to find a way to do it when I didn't have a lot of money. Went to grocery shopping, had to stop at the hardware section of it, the grocery store, get a little bit of sandpaper, and hanging there on the wall was this stuff. And I asked the clerk, and I said, does that stuff dry as clear as it looks? And he goes, yeah, you'd almost think it was water. Eureka, problem solved. I bought a tube of it, only cost me about $3 after tax. Took it home, gave it a shot, and it worked great. Now, it's a clear acrylic glue used mostly to hold down ceramic tiles and in and around bathtubs. I've got to cover up the name, but this is basically it right here. And you can see, you can almost see my fingers through it. It gives you an idea how clear this stuff dries. It's inexpensive, and instead of spending anywhere between 10 to 20 to even more on other stuff, put $4 in this. It will last, and I'll do this, and I'll have extra left over for others. Now, this is the same stuff I've used in previous projects for waterfalls and other water effects, including a small pond and a stream with fast moving water. How I gave it the bluish look, or in this case a slight swampish look, is that this stuff is really good to thin out with a little bit of rubbing alcohol and adding the paint, the color that you want. Now, for a watercolor, for blue, like in a pond or, like a creek or something, I always add a clear, a bluish gel to it. It's a glue, but it has a little bit of a blue color to it. Now, if you want to give it a swampy color, a slightly green look, you're going to use water-based glue. And you're going to put this stuff in layers. Now, after I put the first layer down, that's when it gets interesting, because I had to put that down, the water effects, first, which means I'm going to have to build all this, put my cattails, logs, and then I'm going to have to press him down and set him down inside of that. Position him. Once he's in there, he's not going to go anywhere. So I have to make sure this is absolutely where I want him. So you're going to get your notes out, and you're going to do positive. You're going to test it. I want it like this, or like this. This is going to be the front. Trees, stumps, grass, cattails, everything else. The majority of this will be the water effect. The water effect will take about 2 weeks in itself to do. Why? Because that stuff, you have to put it in layers, and you got to let it dry. It takes 24 to 48 hours to dry completely. Then you're going to want to put another layer on, and you're going to let it dry. Add your little coloring to it as you want it until you get it to the level of water that you want it to be. This applies to any kind of water effect you want to use it for. You're going to want to wear gloves, you're going to wear a mask, and you want to do it in a ventilated area for safety's sake. But until next time, I hope you'll join me in about 2 weeks where we start on this new trick. I'll show you how to cut corners, save a buck or two, and still come up with something great. And remember, if you like what you see, hit the thumbs up button or the like, subscribe, and pass it along. Hope everyone has a great week, 2 weeks, and for all your moms out there, happy upcoming Mother's Day. As always, have a good day.